الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's happening? First order of business, let me know if you can hear me, because this is a live and I ain't got time. Oh, my man Reginald Wade that came through. Oh, shoot, we must about to be on fire today. What do I owe the pleasure, man? Khalid, what's up? Salon, K. Michelle, what's happening? What's going on? Michael Renee, what's going on? We heard. That's what's up. That's what it is, man. Happy Friday. Shalom Shabbat for those that's practicing the Hebrew faith. Those of us that's in the Muslim faith. Juma Mubarak. Those of you who may be 7-day Adventists and get it in from that side, you know what I mean? Happy Sabbath. If you're from the streets, Black Power. And what up, though? What's happening? All right, man. So let's get into it. Soulmates. Sex, money, and soul contracts in the Bible and the Quran, right? I need y'all to click that like button. How you cracking up off my man Hassan? Like, I'll be watching all kind of stuff because I get balanced. The way I balance myself is I be watching what's happening in the streets a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I just be, man, Hassan, man, he be cracking me up, man. His intro is crazy to me, the way he always be like, and I'm like, why is he doing that? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, take a page out of his book today, man. Super violate that like button for me. You know what I mean? Click that like button so we can get the algorithm popping. But anyway, soulmates, man, sex, money, and soul contracts in the Bible and the Quran. Serious topic, very serious topic. Because as men, I want the men to think. Women, you think you kind of know this, but I want the men. I think for men, we never really thought about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, bro, what if the women you have sex with creates a soul contract that actually starts to affect your finances? And I'm saying everybody in the past is it has this connection to you, is bound to you, bound to your soul, and the reasons for the fluctuations of finances deals with the current state of those individuals in the past that is connected to you through what the Quran calls pathways, also known as ether. Okay, just a thought. I'm just posing it as a question right now, just a thought, because that's heavy. That's really heavy if that could be the case. And you have to be, man, you got to be a student of life to really understand God's creation, and especially the thing called cause and effect. I mean, watch to the detail the patterns of your good moods, your bad moods, other people who you may care about, their good moods and their bad moods. And just seeing if you can find a pattern that may exist. Wait, you in a bad mood and that person in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying? And just looking at the patterns that may exist when you become a student of this thing. So just, I'm only saying that to say, be extremely watchful of your environment. All right. Because it can tell us a lot. All right. All right. So what we gonna start at here? We on the Quran. Let's do it. Yeah, let's bring the Quran on up. I'm missing the screen. There we go. All right. So, and among you and among his signs is that he created you from yourselves, mates that you may find tranquility in them, and he placed between you love and mercy. Surely in that are signs for people who reflect. Now, I keep telling you, what do I always say? I say, listen, man, the Quran keeps telling us, think, big dummy, think. Surely these are signs for people who think. Surely these are signs for people who have understanding. Like, what are you talking about? Like I think we read that and we brush it under the rug. Like, yeah, we're supposed to think about it. Oh, yeah, really? I keep saying one of my other favorite verses is, and the signs are on the horizon and in themselves that they may know that this is the truth. What do you mean in myself? That out there and this in here? What do you mean? So I may know that this is the truth. Like you have to find a parallel within yourself that matches something on the horizon for you to understand what that verse just said. You just can't read that and go on about your business if you don't know the internal aspect of what that parallel or contrast is, so you can know that this is the truth from Allah. You just can't skip over that, right? So anyway, in green, what I have highlighted here is he created for you from yourselves. This is what you need to know. Yourself is the same root word for soul. And I am going to validate this. I'm going to prove it. And why I need to change this layout because this is different for me. And why it's important to understand the root word used. I'm going to show you that. So in this verse, I want you to note that the Quran says what? And he created for you from yourself, right? See, yourself and soul don't hit the same, not to my mind. The moment you start talking about spirits and soul, you got my attention. But when you say yourself, it's kind of like physicality in a sense. Like, yo, did you do that yourself? Yourself? This is me, you know. But when you say soul, I'm like, whoa, hold on. Soul. We having a very high conversation at this point. Okay. And so it don't hit the same. But understand, I want you to note that yourself and soul is the same root word. Okay. All right, let's move on. Boop, 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 boop. Now, let me see. What we at here? All right. All right. So he created mates that you may find tranquility in them. Yes, you want to know what tranquility means? Tranquility also means misery. It means poor. It means poverty. You see it at the top, misery and poverty. Okay, that's what tranquility also means. What we have to understand, and bear with me because I'm going to show you in the very end how the words represent two opposing functions, sort of like the yin yang symbol. They're two opposing functions. How it's said, or a certain letter that's in front of the root word, would denote which way to use it. So I can say, yo, stop, that's bad. And then your context and the tonality of which I say it, you'd be like, yo, that's a not to do thing. It's bad. But if I say, yo, man, that was a bad, yo, that thing is bad. Then it's like, oh, yeah, it means extremely good because the way I emphasize bad. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same concept here. But the point and the thing is that we need to come into the knowledge of understanding the two meanings within the word, because that's going to deepen our perception and get to really the mysteries, the underlying context of what the story is saying. Okay? That's important to understand. So tranquility does mean tranquility and peace. But then they give you the opposite side to tell you, but yo, this also represents misery. It also represents poverty. Okay? Understand that. All right. So you imagine that. He created your partners from your soul so that you can have poverty. Whoa, what? What? Well, hold on. I'm gonna say that again. He created your partner from your soul so you may find poverty in them. No thanks. I don't want none. I didn't want none. I don't want none. See, we want the good, but what about the other? We don't think about the bad, right? Like, nah. And it's always been said who you marry or who you sleep with has a drastic effect, especially in marriage, has a drastic effect on your let's just say your estate. Okay. I'll leave it at that. All right. All right, let's move on here. All right. So now he placed between you love and mercy. Want to know what mercy means? Mercy means the womb. Yeah. That's the vajayjay. Means blood relationship. That's what it means. That's the same root word. Womb means blood relationships of kinship, right? Blood ties. Let's look at some more definitions at the top. You see it: womb, relationship, kinship, right? When said in a certain way, let's say at the bottom. Let me blow my screen up on my side so I can get past some things and see. What do it say? It's the one I'm looking for. I should have outlined it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Enmity among relatives at the bottom. Second one at the bottom. That's beef among relatives. So Rahim, it's mercy, but it also means the uterus in the womb or something coming out of. And I'm gonna validate all of this that I'm showing you. All right. So it's something going on with the womb. Woo wee. Listen, let me tell you something. Woman, let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you what another school says. Another school says, as a woman, you have to be careful who you have sex with because the man's energy will penetrate your virgin soul and you will carry that for the rest of your life. But I think for some reason men think that don't really go to them too, because see, it's different because a woman, you can tell she's made to receive. That's what the womb does, right? Right? We grown, right? Okay. So it's made to receive, okay? But for some reason, now to the men, for some reason, I don't know why we think that when we go in there, we don't walk away with that energy. Listen, I ain't gonna say no names. I done seen men change women's menstrual cycles by dealing with multiple women. I've even seen it done energetically just by conversation with multiple women. Yeah. It's a known fact that certain women put a group of women together and somebody's menstrual cycle is going to start to change and sync to somebody's who's not going to change. And for some reason, they call it an alpha uterus. I don't like that. I would say it's more of a matriarch uterus, not alpha uterus. But anyway, this stuff is really real. Okay. So the womb, place mercy. It's really talking about, hey, there's something going on in the womb, and it's something that deals with kinship that's inside of here and potential family beef issues. Okay, stay with me. All right, because we're about to go somewhere. All right, so let me bring this back. All right, so here's another verse to collaborate what I said. O humanity, be mindful of your Lord who created you from a single soul. Let's read the second one in the middle. O mankind, fear your Lord who created you from one soul. From one soul. That's what it says. Yes? So let me time out right there. So earlier, when I showed you the verse that said yourself, and then I told you yourself also means soul that you saw. Now, a whole nother verse in the Quran says he created you from one soul. So I'm not off. Again, this is why it is important to understand the various meaning of the words. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be relying on someone's translation. Now, that's not bad. But if for some reason a person made an honest mistake or just decided to go with this word because that was the best of their own understanding, then I'm at the mercy. My perception is at the mercy of what you say it means. You understand? And it's not true. For me, it's not true. I just say scholarship for myself if I don't know what it means. I need to know the options here for me to arrive at, we talking about divinity. We talking about souls. We talking about God. Man, I ain't got time to be like, I can't believe you on face value. I know how to put it together myself. Let me go do the work and put it together myself and see, right? Not that I don't believe you, but I'm just saying, hold on. Certain concepts I need to know for myself of what's being talked about. Okay. All right. So he created you from a single soul. I'm going to go in the middle. All right. And created from his mate and dispersed from both of them many men and women and fear Allah, through whom you ask one another and the wombs. Indeed, Allah is ever over you an observer. Like that don't even kind of make sense. Wait, hold on. What are you talking about? Why did you interject the wombs here? And this is a completely different verse, right? Okay, so one soul in the womb is created once again. Let's move on. This is called word for word. And to me, this is how you really get into the Quran and get into the meaning of the word. And fear Allah, through whom you ask with it and the wombs. Okay? So let's get into fear. First of all, you got to understand fear is not the same as English meaning scared. Fear means to become God conscious. Fear means to become God conscious, to become righteous, not to be, I'm scared of you, God. God wants me to be afraid of him. No, fear means to be God conscious. Okay? That's the first thing. All right? Let's move on. Now look at this verse. And those who do not invoke with Allah another deity or kill the soul which Allah has forbidden to be killed, except by right, and do not commit unlawful sexual intercourse. And whoever should do that will be met with a penalty. So we're going to focus on this unlawful sexual intercourse. Okay? Now, this is interesting because we have to ask, well, let's have a conversation real quick. What makes it unlawful? Is it really the mere fact that we didn't get married? Like, really? Is that really what it is? We didn't get married, right? What really makes it unlawful? Right? And then what is the marriage? The marriage is, I keep telling you, it's two weddings, it's two marriages. There's the alchemical marriage, which is the sex day, which absolutely should be on the day that you physically get married, because if you understand how cycles work with astrology, you don't want to have a cycle pitting you against a cycle. I've seen couples get married. I remember my homeboy, I ain't gonna say his name, but in Atlanta, older guy, they got married like 6 months later. That's not, you're not supposed, you shouldn't do that. 6 months represents opposition. It's like a wall clock. 12 and 6 o'clock is two opposing things. When things oppose, that's in what's called opposition, and it creates a conflict. 90-day intervals are problematic. You don't want to do that. You need to understand the cycle. So I wrote about this years ago, called The Science of the Virgin Bride. She gets married, physical ceremony, and she has sex that night. Those two acts are on the same cycle. See, you a man, you a woman, you got your own cycles of planetary energy and evolution as a soul to go through. I got my own cycles. So when two things are put in motion at two different times, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be times where they align and misalign, align and misalign. Now we're going to have sex. There go a third cycle. Then we're going to get married. There go a fourth cycle. Now we can't help the two individuals being born, but there is a way. There is absolutely a way that you can use this science. It's called midpoint composite, and I'll just flat out tell you what it is. Where you can find basically the day that sits evenly in the middle between you and your partner. And that's the day that you need to have sex and get married on, because that's the day that evenly your birthday sits evenly in the middle. It's the invisible energy that exists between two poles that is bringing you together. That's the day that you're supposed to do that on. Okay. So that's the science of the Virgin Bride. All right. The physical marriage does not supersede a sexual contract, because that's the real marriage. We talking about DNA and chemicals and souls merging. Would you possibly think a paper at City Hall or a big fancy wedding supersedes this semen and vaginal juices? You out your mind. A whole child gets created out of this. A whole nother soul comes through this action. So do you think the ceremony supersedes that? Absolutely not. No, sir. No, ma'am. It does not. So these two need to be on the same cycle. Now, the physical marriage simply represents you're taking on the responsibility. That's the key. You're taking on the responsibility. So to have a marriage, to have a spiritual union through sex without having the responsibility of life, that's a no-no. That's the problem. Not to mention, which we already mentioned, you're carrying energies, transferring energies, all kind of stuff, right? That's a no-no. Okay? All right. So let's get into this unlawful sex thing. All right? Unlawful sexual intercourse. Here's the word that's used for it. And it tells you, hey, it means commit adultery, fornicate, whore, as my man Black Youngster would say, you whore. Weight, gold, silver, talent. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. You mean the word for adultery is also a word used for gold is money, silver is money. You can trade those things. Them commodities. A talent is a coin. It's connected to money. A weight is also what? Something that has mass, meaning either we're talking about a physical act of sex, and the term used is equivalent to a weight. So am I carrying the weight? Do I need to push the weight? You get where I'm going with this? You just created something of mass. That act in of itself is telling you that it has mass. Anything that has mass now can exert gravity, because something that's bigger than another thing, the smaller thing, would naturally gravitate towards the bigger thing. Right? So these are laws that the Quran has given us, but we won't know it unless we start to go into the various meaning of the one word that is used. Okay? All right? All right. Now, dig this in the very next verse. Their torment will be doubled on the day of resurrection, and they will remain in torment, disgrace. Why is my punishment doubled on the day of resurrection? Whoa, hold on. I commit this unlawful sexual act because I'm not getting married. meaning I don't want the responsibility of what comes with it, right? But my punishment is double? What are you getting at? To the day of resurrection. What are you really getting at here? See, the double, how I perceive that is just not about physicality. The day of resurrection, meaning the basic layman understanding of that is you dead. But since you dead, the law still applies. So the law is transcending the physical to now, let's say, spiritual, hence double. But you want to know what resurrection is? You ready? Want to know what resurrection is? Kinfolk, tribe, race, people, a nation. Yeah. I think it's another definition in there. Here it is, national wealth. Wait a minute. Didn't we just see how fornication or the unlawful sexual act meant gold and silver and talent? We saw that. Then we see how mercy represents the womb. It represents family. Yeah. Yeah, we saw that. Now you telling us this here means resurrection means, hey, kinfolk again, a family dynamic. Yeah, that's what it's saying. Okay. So what did we just see? So we can really put it together. Because I ain't even get into the Bible yet. Oh, the Bible gonna blow your mind. Yourself equals soul. That's what you just saw. Tranquility also means poverty, misery, and poor. Mercy equals the womb, kinship, and beef with family members. Fear represents to be God conscious. Adultery means weight, gold, or silver talent. Resurrection means kinfolk, race, or national wealth. That's what you just saw. Yes? Now, let me further prove my point. First of all, let's come to the astroscience and see what the astroscience, can the astroscience, God's creation, validate what's in the Quran? Go to house number 8 and what do it say? Merging, sex, intimacy, shared finances, inheritance, taxes, loans, assets, property, joint venture, goals, mystery, partner, and resources. I'm not making this up because I understand the astroscience. This was already recorded millennia, eons ago. Keep telling y'all, in the beginning, God created the heavens. In the Bible, that's what it says. Heaven, Shayamin, means astrologer. Even when you look up the 3 wise men who went to find Jesus, peace be upon them, Magi means oriental astrologer. I can show you this. That's what it means. So for you to understand the heavens and earth, you got to understand the science to understand it. How many times does the Quran say the heavens and earth, but we don't even know the 4 cardinal directions? Don't know the east, don't know the west, don't know nothing, don't know the signs, don't know their order, don't know the planet's rotation, the energies associated, don't know nothing, just oblivious and ignorant. The Quran says that's a no-no. But anyway, house number 8. What a coincidence. What I just showed you, soulmates, sex, money, yeah, all of that falls in house number 8. That's there, aka Scorpio. Okay, and it don't mean you got to be a Scorpio to exhibit this, because the 8th house is technically the southwest region of the sky. It's a direction in space. Huh? What do 51:22 say? What's my favorite verse? In the heavens, right, is your provision and everything promised to you. Actually, in the heavens and earth is your provisions and everything promised to you. Everything promised to you. But do you understand that all your stuff may not be in one location in the heaven? There goes sex, money, resources. There go friends over here, Whoop-de-whoop. Everything is in the heavens. Come on, E-Man. Show me where is that in the heavens. Now, that's a serious question for me. I ain't playing with this. See, because at some point in time, man, we're going to have to grow up and have a real conversation about this Quran. And I mean that. Like, hold on. Because I was under the perception that God gave me everything. But now the Quran says, ho, in the heavens and the earth is your provision and everything promised to you. Oh, so you dropped it off. You gave it to me, but you dropped it off. Now I want to know, where is it? Show me where. Because the earth is constantly spinning. So the sun is in the east in the morning, but at nighttime, it went down and set in the west. So if it's by the sun, is it right there by the sun? Well, the sun went down. I have to wait till tomorrow. Show me where it's at, man. What do that mean? This is what it means right here. We've been through this science. This is why I be saying, Nar Yaknadini, you Arabs, you messed up the religion. You corrupted the religion because the religion is based off celestial law. And it must be because right now, all we doing is waiting for the moon. We waiting on the moon. But Islam is some moon watching folks, right? Rightfully so. I get it. But come all the way on in if you're going to come on in. Right? All right. Let me show you a parallel. Now, y'all know the story about Baal in the Bible. Baal was a chief, a rival to Yahweh, right? Right? We heard this. And Baal is a fertility god, right? Rain, storms, right? Name means Lord or Master, right? Now, we all heard this. Baal, right? The fertility god, right? Of the Canaanites. Man, you know what Baal is? Let's read from right to left. When takes a man a wife, right? If we go word for word, when a man takes a wife and marries her, the word marry her, read that in ubala, which is the root word, and you see it say 1166. 1166 is bow, to marry. To marry is bow. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this ain't got nothing to do with no people worshiping Baal they're giving you a story in a context to deepen your mind. Oftentimes they be about states of consciousness to get you to evolve in your own consciousness. Why else did they tell you Jesus is buried at Golgotha, meaning the place of the skull? Then they tell you he got 12 disciples, but when you crack this skull open, you got 12 cranial nerves inside of there. And then they tell you the Christ is in you. Then it start talking about it's in what the Quran said, and we are closer to you than your jugular vein. Whoa, you in me? What are you talking about? What are you getting at here when you say that? What are you talking about? Surely Allah will not change the conditions of the people till they first change what? What is what? In yourself. In yourself. So now bow in Yahweh, but bow means to marry. You understand what I'm getting at? So now it's like, oh, hold on. What are you getting at? The trials and tribulations of the male-female dynamic. That's what the story is getting at. Okay? Now, here's a play on duality again. The sacred mosque is known as Masjid Haram. But haram also means don't you eat that pig. What do it say? Haram, forbidden, prohibited, taboo. And then on the third bullet point tells you it means what? Holy and sacred. You see? You see what you see? So now this is about you understanding duality. And of course, there's ways that you can say the word that's going to denote which definition you need to perceive it as. Of course. But there's layers to this. And oftentimes we don't even know the opposite side of it. Listen, you know how many times the Quran alludes to there is another book in a preserved tablet in heaven? It's a whole nother book. It's a whole nother book. Preserved. somewhere in heaven, right? That's why I be cracking that, man. Y'all better leave the Quran alone, for real, man. It's on a whole nother level. All right, now let's get into this Bible. Let's get into this Bible. All right. This is when I was on my money game. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. We ain't gonna get into that. I want to get into this right here. All right, we'll go with this translation. Let's go with King James. The Lord is long suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand this. This chapter in the Bible is called Numbers. Okay? Numbers is math and money is math. Okay? So, what levels of math? Is it going to be trigonometry? Is it going to be geometry? Is it going to be algebra? Is it going to be calculus? Or is it going to be money? Or is it going to be basic math? Which you just read don't fit the concept of money or numbers. But the whole book is called the Book of Numbers. Let's read this again because I don't see anything in here referring to concepts of numbers. The Lord is long suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. The only thing I see with numbers is the third generation and the fourth generation. That's the only thing I see with numbers. The third generation and the fourth generation. I'm about to blow your mind with this. Get ready because this is different. Okay. All right. So let me blow it up on my side. So we can read it, the highlight in English from left to right. So we know we're looking at the same thing. Bearing away iniquity and transgression, and surely not will clear visiting of the sin. So these are 4 words because the one with number 2, which is iniquity, we said that we saw how that popped up twice. So number 1, bearing away. Number 2, iniquity. Number 3 is going to be transgression. Number 4 is going to be visiting. Number 2 is going to be sin. Okay. All right. So we clear. Now let's look at number 1. Number 1 was NASA. That's Nun Shin Aleph, NSA. It means financial debt as a definition. NASA also means what? Taking a what? Taking a wife. Also means what? A burden. Don't be a burden to your spouse. That goes for the man too. Please don't be a burden to your spouse. Okay? Let's move on. NASA, as we saw, taking a wife, it means to marry. But it also means what? To do business, to negotiate, to argue. You see this? Okay? Now let's move on to number 2. Okay? Number 2 is on. That's Ein Wa Nun. Okay? That's iniquity and sin. If you put an I or a Y at the end, it means poverty and affliction. Wait, wasn't the Quran just saying the same thing? Poverty and affliction. Yes? Let's look up on. It also means time to advantage. Benefit for specific time periods. In other words, take advantage of time. Is not time numbers? Is not this the chapter called Numbers? Yes? So this also means, again, take advantage of time. Now let's move to word number 3, Pesha. Pesha, P-S-A, like Passa. P-S-A means transgress, the misuse of a relationship, hence sinning. If we just look at Posh, P-S on the right, it represents a deficiency. Okay? Y'all ready? Number 4, Pakad. Pakad is P-Q-D. Pakad. Invest with purpose or responsibility. Investing, counting, depositing, giving in trust. Yes? Right? If we go back to on, number 2 on the end, right? We don't have to, it's the same word. Now let's read the box, because in the box, that's what they gave us in the King James Version. The Lord is long suffering and of great mercy. Forgiving, we know, means financial debt, business, marriage, and argue. Iniquity means poverty, take advantage of time. And transgression, we know, is the misuse of a deficient relationship. Visiting, we saw, means investing in depositing. So if we look at the second paragraph where it says one word for word translation, that's just taking one word from all of the various definitions, like how they write the Bible and Quran now, and put it in there. God is slow to anger and of great mercy. Financial debt and poverty from a deficient relationship, and by no means will not clear the deposits of poverty from the fathers or the children of the third and fourth generation. Now, I want you to pay very close attention, because I call this long form translation. Okay, I call this long form translation. This is important to understand. This is very important to understand in your study. When you take all your definitions and you look at the story and you apply the definitions to not just choosing one word, the best word that you think is the best that fits here. Take all the definitions and get it to tell a story, because it's telling the overall story. See how God gonna tell us that this means this, and then we only gonna choose on that part and not choose to understand what God's the word mean in totality. We got to accept it all from the Creator. So what if the story to be told is for us to accept it all? So now this is what I call long form translation. Okay. Now, when we read long form translation, it makes perfect sense. Now, here it is. God is slow to anger and of great mercy. Marriages that argue and fail to take advantage of time and realize that marriage is a business will become a deficient relationship that will incur financial debt and poverty. And the Lord by no means will clear the deposits of poverty from the fathers or their children of the third and fourth generation. That's what that says. That's long form translation. See, the King James Version didn't give us no concept about financial debt, poverty, taking advantage of time, investing and depositing. It said, look at that, visiting. No, visiting means investing and depositing. This is talking about generational wealth. That's what this is about. Hence the book of Numbers. Generation, third, fourth generation. Right? Right? So, really, at the core, let me go back to that. Really, at the core, where was it at? Right here. Hey, man. Hey, marriage and business. Marriage may be a bit. Marriage is a business. Don't you get certain tax breaks when you marry? What are you talking about? It's a business, right? You know, I think I've been charged before, and my experience of life that says, hey, talking too much about business. Get out of there. And I get it. I do. I get it. Right. But we got to understand, at least from, if we're going to have a reference point of Bible, if you accept the Quran, you accept the Bible. Right. Right. you accept the Bible. All right. They may accept it from the Quran viewpoint and don't believe in the Trinity. That's fine. But nevertheless, you accept the Bible. Right. If this is going to be our reference point of divinity as the law in which we're going to center our lives around, right? Then we would have to understand, as the couple, we would have to understand that the concept of marriage is related to business. The concept of sexual relations is related to finances, somehow, some shape, form, or fashion. But again, I explained this, I showed this, right? I showed this with the eighth house. That's connected to sex and joint, it's called joint resources, the taxes, the estates, the investments, right? So all of this go there. That's law. That's celestial law. See what I'm saying? So therefore, they are connected. Okay. All right. So what time is it? 1:16. I did pretty good on time. I thought it was gonna be a little longer. All right. So yeah, we gotta be about our father's business, as the Bible would say. Right? I'm about my father's business, right? You gotta be about that, right? And we have to be so ever mindful of the interactions that we engage in. And pardon me, y'all. I'm in my Kevin Gates phase of life right now because I got so much truth that I muffle my truth a lot, right? But I'm about to just stop muffling it. I've been saying that forever, right? I'm probably gonna still muffle knowing me because I'm very compassionate. I really am. But please, 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 please don't take that as for a weakness, right? But I bring Gates in the equation because it's something that he said that I've done, right? And he's like, yeah, man, I had to apologize to him. Man, bro, my bad for putting you in that situation. Come on, man, we grown as men. For me, the culture I grew up in, you know what I'm saying? I done been in some compromising situations, you know what I'm saying? And fellas, you know what I'm talking about. Ladies, you may know what you may know. You didn't compromise. We didn't all compromise ourselves. You know what I'm saying? To a point. You know what I'm saying? Where something really wasn't the best for us, and we still went ahead and went through with a sexual act, right? So yeah, I've absolutely apologized. I had did I call it a Venus bath, and you do your rose petals, you do your certain essential oils and whatnot, and yeah, you got to do self. It's like a self pampering, self love thing. The key, I'm gonna tell you one of God's greatest mysteries, and where He really loves to show up in disguise at is that nervous system. The nervous system is like it's like if God had a brain, like the nervous system would almost be like showing you what it would look like in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But you got to get in there. You got to get in that nervous system and do things to stimulate the nervous system and allow that energy to travel through the nervous system and start dealing with reprogramming and reformatting space. Now, unfortunately, this is my opinion, and I'll tell you when this is opinion. I look at there's studies that talk about vaginal and penile memory. Okay. It makes sense. You got cells and things like that. But if you scar yourself, you injure yourself and you scar yourself, right? Like I got a scar. This came from when I lived in Chicago. This little thing right here. It was like a style. I was outside playing and I popped it. But that scar is still there. It's not the same. It's discolored right there. You know what I'm saying? I even also got in the motor when I wrecked my motorcycle too, doing the wheelie and whatnot. I wrecked my motorcycle, and this right here don't even feel the same no more. It's still a little tender because my whole hand was swole right here and whatnot. So my point is, you can have cellular memory within the cells, within the tissues, and so we may be carrying these memories of other people, and you wonder why. Can we have a grown conversation? When you're getting hot and bothered and you masturbate and you thinking about this person, right? You think it's just because it was an apex moment. Yeah, it was an apex moment, but you got to understand that the nerve ending from the penis to the vagina goes up to the brain. So we think it's just a function of the brain, and it's not solely a function of the brain. The receptacle of that person was down here. You feel me? So we gotta to at best see some, for lack of a better word, we can say that's scarred, meaning it's been imprinted. Now things can work, right? You can get injured and rehab, and it may not be as efficient or be sufficient, but the scar is still there. All I'm saying with the scar, I'm talking about the imprint of the other human being is there. Now, what if we can never get rid of these people from the past? until the day of resurrection, meaning until you die and come back, if you come back or go to another place. Sidebar, you ever wonder why you need bones in the hereafter? The Quran says, and surely we will reassemble his bones. Why do you need bones in the hereafter? You know what I'm saying? See, I'm the wrong one, man. I'm the wrong one. It's certain things you ain't gonna get past me. I'm a little slow, but I ain't that slow, right? But anyway, but the point is, it's an energy that's carrying on, right? So at best, the best we can do is manage the self-care process and be very, very, very intentional in that process and to be very intentional on the next person. That's it. That's it. That's all we can do. Like, because if the record exists, like, you can't erase the record. It's a record. It's called memory. You can't erase the record. And just because you don't remember and it's a fact, don't mean it didn't happen either, right? So you can't erase the record. But what you can do is you can remix the record. What you can do is build upon the foundations of what was there, right? You can do that. That's what we can do. And that's what we got to do from this point going forward is being very, very intentional with self-touch, meaning self-care. Not talking about self-pleasing, but hey, that's your thing. Do whatever you do, right? But with self-touch, through healing touch, through learning various modes of modalities of sound frequency, sound healing, forest bathing, going through the woods is very therapeutic for the nervous system. This is proven, especially in the Japanese study, right? So forest bathing is being out in nature. Nature produces, especially the forest, produces what's called negative ions. We even got it twisted on this plane. Keep that negativity away from me. It's actually the negative ions that gives you the refreshing feeling of being what we would call positive energy. It's not positive energy. Positive energy is static energy. We even got that twisted. You see how twisted we are? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, y'all get my gift, right? So just be mindful, be in love. You know what I'm saying? Live in love, live in trust. But you got to start with faith. Live in faith. You know what I'm saying? Then live in trust. And then, because I keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it, that trust is the evolution of faith. And live in surrender, because that's what a Muslim is. That's what being at peace is. I did that last week. That's what being, just being in peace is somebody who surrenders to the will of God. Ain't got nothing to do with a religious thing. It's everything to do with a state of mind that recognizes the divine and says, I surrender to that which is the creator of reality, right? So that's what it is. All right. Tonight, man, I think we are on tonight. We'd love to have you in the Patreon. We're gonna have a little paint and sip. Stuff for law, brother. You talking about paint. Listen, man, I love my lane. If you gonna come and drink some wine, you gonna smoke your reefer, do whatever you gonna do, man. That's between you and your God. I ain't here to judge you and tell you what you can't do. If that's what relaxes you, come on through, right? I'll be smoking some hookah for sure. But we're gonna have a paint and sip tonight. What we do on the last Friday of the month is we go into the beautiful names of Allah. You find an attribute that resonates best with you, and then go get you some paint. You can get you some paint and do your thing, and we paint and we just have a great conversation on spirituality. It could be anything. You never know. It's just an organic, open conversation online. We do ask that you have your cam available to cam up so we can just see you in real time. Like, show your painting, have a conversation, and kick it, man. So it's actually one of my favorite things to do. Last month was our very first one, and we had a ball. We had fun and whatnot. So that's what we're gonna do tonight at what, 8 o'clock, or is it 8:30? Let me blow that up. What time is it? It's at 8 o'clock, 8 Eastern. All right. Paint and sip. All right. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. What time is it? 1:25. So we good. I got to get ready to go to Juma. Boy, that Koopa service be putting me to like, oh my God. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? Stuff a lot. Shouldn't say that. It's the truth, but I shouldn't say that. Because I'm not there for that. I'm there for the beautiful, because nothing is better than a group of people in prayer. Oh man, that's a lot of power in that. I told you, man, you got to go and be an energy vampire. You got to go with your prayer, what you got on your heart, what you got in your mind's eye, and use the power of resonance of the collective prayer, have that thing, that vision, and pray at the same time. There's power in that, right? All right. All right, man. After that, man, who in the Patreon is joining me? Khadijah. Salute this Khadijah. Khadijah's out there feeding the homeless, those in need. The Quran says, if you do a misdeed, hurry up and do a good one. Hurry up, which tells you there's ways to negate our negative karma, our negative actions by doing positive things. That's why I'm saying if we had any negative experiences in relationships, to start building them up positively over and over and over again within that positive union. It is a horrible disservice for lovers. I'm gonna quote something from the Hermetic school. They said the true Hermetic couple are wise not to argue because they understand the law of vibration, that they create magnetic demons. And now these demons take on a life form of themselves. And now they got their own rhythm and they feed off of the relationship and start to create disharmony. Now, whether you want to externalize that as these invisible demons, or if you want to internalize that as just a frequency that was created, nevertheless, it has a rhythm in of itself, by itself, of its own, and it circulates, it comes back to us and interacts with us, and it potentially puts us on a rhythm of having more future downfalls, all because how we give the vibration off with one another. See, this is why the monks don't mess with nobody. They be like, yo, the coochie ain't worth it. The dingling ain't worth it. I'm going into my cave. I'm going into my monastery, and I'm never coming out to the best of my ability, because people in the world don't understand cause and effect. They don't understand the power of their thoughts and emotions is affecting reality. They don't understand that. So I got to get away from here. And I'm going to become a lover of God. God is going to be my wife, and God is going to be my husband, whatever that may be into the psychology of the people. Like, this is known as the mystical marriage. They no longer desire to have sex because it's too dangerous on a lot of levels. Lord, I don't want to be a celibate monk. I got an 8th house stellum. It ain't happening. No, please, no. I don't want to. I don't want to. What is it like to have great, awesome companionship that understands this, and you safeguard the energy, and you never, ever, ever create these ripple effects, because you will be on the pattern. You can be on the pattern. And I'm a student of this. Like, I'm a student. Listen, God's creation called the cosmos, man. I'm a student of the game. Let me explain. Like, seriously, right? I got friends, right? We friends. But there's a certain retrograde that'll happen, and then it'd be like, you chain of events that's happened to occur. Retrograde happen, you chain of events that's naturally occur. And when you're a student of it, you just got to look at cause and effect and appreciate it and really laugh at it. Like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, look how it happens. Right? I may be talking in code a little bit, right? But what I'm saying is, imagine, like right now, for example, right? Venus retrograde. I get a phone call from Venus represents money. Retrograde meaning, okay, look like the planet is going back, and it's could be something weird in relationships and or money, right? Tenant called me today. Hey man, somebody stole my rent money, man. The guy I may need you to put this guy out, his roommate, but I'm gonna be a week late. All right, man. Boom. My son, Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, picked up his phone. He was driving trucks for Marathon Fuel. They caught him on camera touching his phone. He said his phone went off and he was grabbing it to cut the alerts off. They don't play that. You do not touch your phone when you're driving fuel. You're fired. Fired him. Mercury retrograde. right? Now he just got approved for a job in another Mercury retrograde, right? So he's under a certain rhythm unbeknownst to him. I get to sit back and be like, when you do that, man, all right, man. Because he hasn't got to that point where he's like, yo, show me what's up. Right? Give me the science. What's happening? How can I navigate better? So you got to want it from within first. I'm just not going to tell you. You know, you gotta want it. And so these patterns happen, right? But in the course of relationships, we're creating patterns. So you got to be very mindful on how you come off. All right. All right. So I'm out of here, man. I got things to do. Get out there, help the people. And I'll make a post a little later in the Patreon. Join us tonight, man. We'd love to see you in paint and sit. And click that like button and all that good stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And but I get with y'all. All right. Peace.
الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم